Okay, welcome to Dreamweaver Lesson 5. We're going to do some rollover effects, some user interactivity. Here's an example of what it's going to look like when we're done. So basically what happens when you roll over different graphics, they flip out with another one. It gives a nice little effect. And these buttons, when I touch the biking button, it says biking, and then also notice the text changes. So like right now it says welcome to Compass, blah blah blah. I touch biking, now it says are you new to the sport of mountain biking, and so on. So we're going to do all that, and I'm going to go pretty quick, so pause it if you need to. So I'm going to start by going to my Lesson 5, my latest page. I've got a few things here just to get you started. So the first thing is, let's go ahead and get these buttons in. So I'm going to click in here, and you may be, depending if you just finished Lesson 4, you may still be in the layout mode, so then it'll look like this. So if that's the case, make sure you go back into standard mode, so it'll look like that. Alright, so I want to go into the images, and I'm going to show you a couple different techniques to do these rollovers. The first way is you go up to Insert, Image Object, Rollover. And when you do that, a dialog box is going to pop up, and it's going to say, okay, what's the original name? We'll start with biking. You can name it whatever you want, just something for you, for your own reference. Then the original image, you browse out, and you go to your folder, DWMax or just Compass Tours, Lesson 5, Project Images, and you want to find that biking button. There it is. That's my original one, so that's going to start. And then what's the rollover going to be is, what do you want the button to turn into? You want it to turn into biking button F2. And then you can say, okay. Now for this one, when click go to URL, there is actually a page we can link this one to, because I'm giving you the if you go back into Lesson 5, I am giving you one page for biking. The other buttons, don't worry about linking them, just so you know how to do it. So you can link that rollover button, so now it's linked. In alternative text, you could put that if you want. So now what will happen is, if we F12 this, save changes yes. When I touch that biking button, it is going to, if it did it right, it's going to roll over. There you go. So that's accomplished. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of them. I'll do it one more time. And hey, to make it nice between the buttons, I'm going to do a shift enter and not a full enter, just a shift enter between each button. Insert, image object, roll over. And after biking, I don't know what comes next. Oh, a climber. So image name, climber. Browse, climbing button. There's the original one. The second one, climbing button F2. Okay. And there's no URL for this one. I mean, you can link it to a different page if you wanted to, like a web page. Say okay. And then do my shift enter. Alright, I'll pause it while I do the rest. Okay, I'm back, and if you notice, I think I added in one extra icon from what the preview had. I don't think the preview had a kayak, I'm not sure. So we got all our buttons on, and they did that first little step. Now we need to do, let's program these things so they do the rollover effect. So since these graphics are already here, we can't do that little trick with insert image object. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go and change the behavior of each one of these. So to do that, we have to go over to the tag inspector. We're going to open that up, and then probably your attributes is open, but we're going to go over to behaviors. Let me pause this. Okay, sorry about that pause. You don't even know it. But I click on the graphic, and then before you start to add behaviors, which are kind of like little JavaScript programs, before we do that, you have to give the image a name, or you should. Okay, so I gave it a name, add gear, and now I went over to my behaviors, and I clicked on swap image. And what this will allow you to do is to select another image you want to swap it with. And right now it's saying, okay, add gear is the original image, so that's selected. And what do I want to have the new one be? Swap it out with. So I'm going to click on add gear F2. That's the red one. Okay, okay. Do the same thing with future destinations. Give it a name. And then add a behavior. Swap image, browse out, and find the feature destination F2. There it is. And let's just preview that real quick. There you go. When you touch it, it turns red. You touch that one, it turns red. So do the same thing for Travelog and About Us. And next, the last step is you want one extra thing to happen. When you touch this biking, you want two things. You want the biking to switch to biking 2, plus you want this text here to swap out with the biking text. Just to remind you what it looks like. Okay, here we are. So when I touch on biking, see two things happen. Switches to biking, and the welcome compass disappears. So we have to program that in. We're going to have to use the behavior panel as well. So you want to think of this as the trigger. So when I roll up on the trigger, I want two things to happen. And if you look in your behaviors, the one is already there because we programmed it in when we said insert interactive image, the rollover. So I want to add another action to the swap image. So I'm just going to double click on it. And notice it says right now the image biking is the source. That's why there's a little star by it. And what I want to have happen is I want the biking button to replace it. Now what I want is the second thing to happen. I want this picture of this text. I'm going to cancel this real quick. You may not have realized it, but this really is not text, it's picture. So when you click on it, look at the properties. And that's the trick in how do you make this thing work. Because you can't really swap text out, you have to swap pictures. So before I do it, I want to give it a name. So I'm going to call this main text. And now when I come back, and make sure you click on the bike, not on the text, go into the swap image, and now I can see that image main text and highlight it, and then browse it to biking text. So what will happen now is when I touch that biking icon, that's the trigger, two things are going to happen. The biking's going to swap with biking F2, and the main text is going to swap with biking text. Let's F12 that. See if it worked. Boom, there it goes. Both things happen. So you can do the same exact thing for all 5 of the buttons. So I'll do another one. Swap image, main text, browse out to climbing text. Okay. And then I'll save it. So you get the idea. You can do the rest. And then when you're done, don't forget, you want to open up your home page. There it is. And then add a link, W5. And then you can link it to that Lesson 5. Don't forget the link button, not the background. Latest. Save it. And now you're ready to move on to a little mini assignment. And the mini assignment is where you're going to use that rollover technique you just learned. And now you're going to make a little riddle with it. Or a story, or however you want to do it. And right now there's no video for it. You just have to figure that out on your own. It's real simple. But so I made a little image. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, 3 legs in the evening. And when you roll over it, I get a hint. See, there's a man, the old man, 3 legs, the cane, and 2 legs. So the answer, of course, is it's a human. 4 legs in the morning because we crawl as babies, 2 legs in the afternoon because we walk, and then when we get old, we use a cane, 3 legs. So you guys come up with your own original riddle or a joke or anything else, and use that technique of insert image object, rollover image, and then you can make a rollover. Have some fun.